Hey, welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob, and I'm the host of this one-man show coming to you every Monday UK time. And today we are ranking stuff again. And as you can tell from the title, we are doing a bit of I know it's kind of early to talk about like top albums of the year, but I think like I've really been thinking like about all these releases that we've had this year, and I've discussed ad nauseum how like this year has been quite dry when it comes to like very big projects or like stuff that is really sticking. It's been quite like I would say mid as a year overall in terms of music. Doesn't mean anything like well, I thought there wasn't much that really stood out to me, but when I was doing this ranking, I really managed to find a good list of 10 albums that I really, really enjoyed this year, and I ranked them. Now, I know there's also Rosalia's album coming out this Friday, and maybe that album will change everything, and I hope it does as well, because, the more the merrier. I'm always welcoming new stuff. But I think also what's interesting is that I'm going to make this as a little prelude and of what's to come maybe for the Grammys eventually. So this is just my ranking of my favorite albums of the year, and as of now, basically, yeah. So if anything by the end of the year comes out, I guess we shall see. And also, looking forward to seeing what's going to be on the list of the nominations for the Grammys. That will be an episode for sure that's going to come out whenever that is posted. So, and we will be discussing there and then who deserves album of the year for real, out of the Grammy nominees. But yeah, I thought it would be a fun little. I've done this I think also last year. I think specifically ranked songs and albums, but I think I really want to just stick to albums this time around and then really delve into like the 10 albums that I think are worth listening to if you haven't done so already, that all came out this year. So yeah, this is gonna be that. Now let's start with and we're gonna go from the bottom to straight to top. So you're gonna go from the number 10 till number 1, and number 10 is a sneaky inclusion by myself because technically not a full album, it's an LP. It's an EP. So it only contains like 6 songs, but my god, this EP is just, I think, perfectly composed and put together, and I'm talking about My Eyes Open Wide by Meow. Now this is K-pop. This is hands down my favorite EP of the year for sure. And I think overall it's not simply, a collection of great, incredible songs that sound good for K-pop standards or like any sort of pop song standard, but I think also overall it achieves something very interesting in K-pop, which is like a unique sound for a group, and we haven't had it. So we haven't had something like very strictly unique to a group in terms of sound in a long while. I would actually argue since New Jeans, but yeah, they've with this EP I think specifically they've sort of mastered a type of sound that is quite unique to them and still reminiscent, of course, of many other groups. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of influence from the Black Label, of course. That's the label that produces them and it produces for them, and I think overall it is still K-pop, and you can see the influence there. But I think overall it just made a very cohesive body of work here that really informs what hopefully the R&amp will continue to be for the remainder of their career. Again, the only reason why it's like at the bottom is like one, it's not an album, so the technically should be disqualified from this list, but I need to include it because it's just I cannot not talk about this. But also, yeah, that therefore, there's only 6 songs, so there's not a lot of material on this to really explore. But out of all the 6 songs, I would not be able to eliminate any of them. I think they're all incredibly produced, super super good songs. All of them are perfect in my opinion. All of them are like perfectly placed, and they're all like, worth at least a listen. I saved all of them, and I find myself replaying all of them constantly. Now, some of these new songs I think came out in 2024 actually, but the EP came out in 2025 with additional, of course, the additional songs. But so again, the track list goes like Hands Up, Drop Top, Meow, 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 Meow. In terms of like Meow is the name of the group, but also they have a song called Meow. And then they have Body, they have Toxic, and then they have Lit Right Now, and all of these are incredible. Hands Up, I would say, Meow, I would say Body. These 3 songs are very like Latin influenced a bit. It's very still hip hop, but there's a lot of like Latin beats and like Brazilian influence as well in this. It's very interesting. It's like they brought this element into this K-pop world, which is like so cool, I think. Then you have Drop Top, which is one of my songs of the year, I have to be honest. Like especially in terms of streams, but also just by feeling specifically, I just think this is one of the best songs that I've listened to. I'm just obsessed with this song, but it's not necessarily like relevant to the Latin situation. It's more like interesting number that is like very similar to. I would actually say it's like a 21 Pilots type of moment. I think I already talked about the song when it came out first in my songs of the week for that month when it came out. But that was such a good song. And then you have Toxic, which is like very good, interesting ballad that is quite. It does remind me quite a bit of Jack Antonoff and Midnight's production specifically. Taylor Swift's Midnight, the album, and which is such a good song. I really like the vocal production here as well. The melodies and everything, so good. This song is so nice, and also the video, chef's kiss. And then Lit Right Now. Lit Right Now is kind of reminds me of is it called Haim? The band, like the girl band, the three sisters. It reminds me of maybe Gasoline. I can't remember exactly, but it does remind me of something like that. But it's a very tasteful album, I would say, and there's a lot of interesting elements, and there's a lot of interesting sounds going on. Like it's a very even though they're experimenting with different sounds in a way, they're still very cohesive with their image. There's like this very cool but emotional vibe to them. Like they're very hip hop and in most of their like aggressive tracks, but they're also quite emotional, on other tracks, and their vocals and their rapping skills and everything else is just out of they're very also very interesting vocal tones that I really particularly enjoy, and you can like sort of tell who's who in the songs, which is really good. I think Suyin as my favorite like tone when she sings in these songs, especially in Drop Top. Oh my god, and just is just incredible. I can't. So yeah, that's the EP. It sucks that it's like again short, like it's only 6 songs. It's an EP, but you know what, like it's just so well composed that I'm like, I cannot not talk about my main girl here. I literally listen to all these songs all the time. Like I literally, if I have to reach for Meow, I literally usually listen to all of their songs, which is not many to be fair to begin with, but it's just easy to listen to this EP. It's just very well produced, and I really like it. So I think you should all give it a listen if you haven't done so before. So yeah. Now, at number 9 we have Sincerely by Kali Uchis. This album is something else, I would say. Like it's very unique for its sound compared to whatever else has come out this year. I think this year we've had still a bit of a re-up of the 80s in some shape or form. Thankfully, in a different way than the previous 80s re-ups, but this is the probably like the only like album, well, it's yeah, so this year has been either very 80s or I think very hyperpop. So it's one or the other mostly. But this is quite the standout, I think, in terms of sounds and everything. I think it's sort of overall the project quite a lot reminds me of Lana Del Rey for whatever reason. I think it's very like theatrical, very cinematic. It's actually a very cinematic album. Yeah, very also orchestral. There's a lot of orchestral like instruments, of course, in the many different songs here. There's quite a few diversions when it comes to the sounds every now and then in the album, like All I Can Say or Angels Around All Around Me. Those are all like more like, I don't know how to explain them. Like maybe like swing, if that makes any sense. Cabaret type of songs, very cool. But yeah, I would say like overall the album is super cohesive when it comes to sound. If you like something a bit more slow paced or more like cinematic and orchestral, this is it. It's very cool. And if you like Lana Del Rey, I think you would actually really enjoy this album. I think overall Kali really came through. Usually Kali does a lot of R&B, but I think here she just doubled with like something a bit different. And I think, and I'm very surprised actually by that. First of all, and I think it should be rewarded because she just went into a new sort of experience here, and she has done incredibly well. Some of my favorite songs, for example, in the album are "Heaven Is Home." "Heaven Is a Home" is just so good, such a emotional track as well. I just like, and it's the opening of the opener for the album as well, which is very cool. I also really like All I Can Say. It's just a very cool track, very unique, very swingy, very lovey-dovey in a way. Like all about a lot about this album is like very sincere and very she's in love basically. Like she's just like, there's a lot of I guess like talks about like love and like profession. She's like professing her love quite a lot in many of these songs, and it's a lot about like very I don't want to say platonic love, but like it's very attraction based and like very emotional and very emotive in that sense. Not like necessarily. I would say like the title is actually perfect because it is some sort of like it feels like a letter to this to the love of her life basically. It's quite honest and quite vulnerable as an album. So passionate, so passionate. I really enjoyed this. Do I visit the album often? Not as often as I maybe should, but I think whenever I think about this album, I always like think it was such a good, well executed album in terms of sound and in terms of cohesion of lyrics as well and messaging, and then and there are of course as I said like some standout tracks that I really enjoy. So that's partially why it's like at the bottom of the list in a way. I mean, it's still in the top 10. Don't get me wrong. So still an incredible project, but I would say this is like a very solid project, and I think if you guys like that sort of sound, you would definitely enjoy this album for sure. Then on number 8, we have the one and only Lorde with Virgin. Now, I had a lot of time now, of course, spent with I spent a lot of time with this album now because it came out like what, June 2025, so it's been quite a while now. I sat with it quite a long time. It's a pretty straightforward album, to be fair, like 11 songs, so it's not super extensive, and it plays for like 34 minutes, I think 35 minutes, so it's not like a long listen when you listen to this one. It's still an incredible work. I think it's not the best Lorde album, but it's also not the you know weird out of character album that Solar Power was. I still enjoyed Solar Power quite a bit, but I would say it's better than Solar Power, but it's not like necessarily near pure heroin and melodrama. Actually, in terms of like matter, like concepts and topics that are discussed, that it's quite similar to melodrama in some ways, but it's of course not melodrama, but it's whatever. But still, again, incredible album, I would say. And I think I already also have like an episode about it when I went through each track, so I do recommend you guys listen to that one specifically, but just to like be sort of like just to provide like a little bit of a recapping on that. I think overall the greatest strength about this album is like the topics and like the writing here. She's quite polarizing in certain parts about like what specifically she talks about, but Virgin as a concept is quite an interesting one, I think, for an album specifically. Is not necessarily like talking about her sexual virginity, but it's more like her reinventing herself and letting go of all of these like past inhibitions, and basically being reborn in a way. Like it's virginity in this sense. Like she's back to default with this album, which is very, very cool as a concept, I think. And there's a lot of songs here that are quite sexually charged as well, in a way. Also, whenever I think about this album, it's like there's a very specific palette, like a palette that comes to mind. Like it's a very grey album, very grey-ish, but in industrial, mechanical, something like that. It's quite like sound-wise is actually, again, very cohesive as well. Do I listen to this a lot? Not really, if I have to be completely honest. But I do think it's solid, very solid, very cohesive, very unique in terms of concept and in terms of metaphors and everything else, and writing. Very, very cool. There's quite a few songs that I enjoy as well, to be fair. Favorite Daughter, Man of the Year, What Was That, of course. Broken Glass, really, really enjoyed that. Yeah, like even David at the end, it was such a good song as well. So I think there's quite a lot to like see and like to listen to, and like even in terms of visuals, there's quite a lot to like look at. Very cool, I think. A very cool album overall, and also really, really enjoyed the cover art, to be honest. Like the shout out to that, because she really gave us a very interesting visual for that. It's like again, if you don't know, it's an X-ray of her pelvic area, but she's still wearing jeans as well, so you can see a lot of the metal parts also in the in the X-ray scan. Very cool, very interesting, and it's quite it's like quite visceral as well. Like it gives you like invasive sort of look into her psyche, and it's quite cool. There's quite a lot of good stuff, and I think again I recommend you guys listen to my full review of the album, because I literally went through each track and sort of gave you a bit of a rundown on a lot of what she talks about here. Like there's also a lot about talking about her parents, which is very unique and very new. And there's a lot of about breakups and rebirth, and that it's very conceptually very promising album in that sense. Like there's a lot of that is all to mine about in that sense. So yeah, like check it out, guys. I think you would really, really enjoy it. Yeah. Now, next, which is supposed to be number 7. Yeah, number 7. Sorry. Yes, number 7 is Addison by Addison Rae. This is her debut album. She put out an EP, of course, before, but this is the Addison Rae album, debut album, and it's such a cool cool album as well. Such an explosive debut. I think is such a promising artist that's coming out of her, and it's quite shocking that she managed to transition so beautifully from like a TikTok artist, like there's no one would really take seriously, to this proper pop star making all these interesting references and really being a tastemaker for the future generation. I think you need to watch out for Addison Rae, because she's gonna be a building block, I think, for the future of music, at least for the next coming years. This album is like again, sound wise very cohesive. I think that's what I really look forward to when I look into like a great project and a great album. And this has it for sure. There's a lot of influence in terms of like hyperpop. There's a lot of Charlie XCX influence here as well, in some tracks like Money's Everything, for example, is a great example of that. But there's also a lot of unique elements that are very Addison Rae, like a very falsetto-y voice and approach to the vocals specifically. That's what really like I always think about when I think about Addison Rae. So like, in a very dreamy delivery, like think about Diet Pepsi, for example. Think about Aquamarine. Think about Headphones On. There's always like every chorus is like very falsetto-y and very dreamy, which is very very cool. And this is sort of like great project about like not simply like the main concept I think here is like her passion for music, but also specifically wanting to be famous. That's the main. I think that's the main concept about the album specifically, and there's a lot about being also young in this generation and all that, and it's a very fun album in that sense. There's a lot of that, and I think also it's uniquely her. Like I think, again, as I said, like some parts are reminiscent of Charlie XCX, who is her sort of, I don't want to say mentor, but it's very close friends of hers that really propped her up, I guess, for this. But I think there's much more. Like it's something very uniquely Addison that is just so completely well done here. She really managed to transition perfectly from her TikTok era to this. Like she's the only TikTok artist that actually properly made an actual album that is resonating with so many people. Diet Pepsi has half a billion streams on Spotify. That's incredible. So impressive. So many great songs. My favorite one overall that I always reach out for is High Fashion. I'm obsessed with the music video, but I'm also obsessed with the song overall. It's just so interesting. It's such an interesting track, like something that I've never heard before, and it's so cool. Like it's just such a cool song. Whenever I listen to that, I'm always like feeling moody, but also very like very cool. Like it just gives you such an interesting feeling. It's such a great, well produced track, and I just love it. I think that to me like is the standout track from the album. But there's so many good songs. That Pepsi, of course. Money's Everything, of course. Headphones On, incredible. Famous Gone. There's a lot of references also to Britney Spears. Also in her tour, she's paying homage to a lot of the Y2K, aesthetic and icons in that sense. So incredible. And there's a lot of also that I think in terms of influence on the sound of the album, but it doesn't sound dated. It sounds like very modern as well. So very cool. I really enjoyed that. And I think also you can see her footprint already, because there's other people who are also doing things. Like literally when I listen to some of the Adele songs, some of her songs, some of them remind me of Addison Rae, which is very interesting. So because I'm like she's a new artist, and she's already leaving an indelible mark on pop music, which is incredible. So good to see. I don't necessarily like stream the entire album front to back. There's songs that I usually sometimes skip, to be fair. but I do like what's on it, and I do spin it whenever I feel in the mood for it. So yeah, like, period. Then what do we have? Number 6, we have. I think also this number 6 is very interchangeable with Addison album, but I think they're very quite similar in terms of what's going on here. Right, there's another new artist who is Audrey Hobart, with Who Is the Clown. Audrey Hobart is like, I didn't like, no one knew anything about her prior to her smash hit Sue Me. Incredible track, but then eventually like people connected the dots, and she is one of the main collaborators and lyricists behind Gracie Abrams in the latest album that she had, and you can really tell because this album is all that, like, it's sort of rapid fire lyrics, like sort of stream of consciousness type of like situation where she just like blaps out a lot, she word vomits a lot of stuff that is quite earnest and quite emotive, and you can see it all over this album, all over the songs. It's a very signature thing that apparently is Audrey Hobart. Initially people thought it was Gracie Abrams' new shtick, which might have set her apart from the other people, but it's Audrey Hobart who came up with it, and you can see again on this album how effective it is and how good it is. And I think this album specifically is such a good representation of how it feels like to be in your 20s in this day and age. It's such a good, relatable album. I cannot stress it enough. There's so many great lyrical moments on this album, so cool. And I think also overall, I think more than anything, like the vocal delivery and the composition and the melodies on this album are very cohesive. All the songs have like something in common, I think, when it comes to that, because you can tell it's all written by one person, who is of course Audrey Hobart. Very cool stuff. Also, this album, for whatever reason, I think visually but also lyrically, and the way it's so direct and confessional, but also very like, I don't want to say uncool, but like she's making being uncool feel cool. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of her, specifically her brand, is that it really reminds me of some parts of Red by Taylor Swift, the album. Some parts of it, like We Are Never Ever Getting Back to Her, specifically. That the song, that's the concept that really like perfectly applies to this in terms of vibe check. And it's throughout all the songs. Sue Me is the song. Like, that song is so freaking good. I cannot even express how good that song is in terms of composition, in terms of like vocal layerings, in terms of production as well. It just like lyrically is just such a perfect pop song. I just cannot. And then you have so many other great moments, like Bowling Alley. I love Bowling Alley. A very good acoustic guitar song. There's a lot of good acoustic guitar moments on his album as well, which is very good. Then you have Drive. Really love that song. Drive is one of my favorites. Then you have Silver Jubilee. So good. That's a very like 2010 type of track. Then you have Sex and the City. Sex and the City is such a good ballad, I guess. Really cool. Really, really good. You have Thirst Trap. Like, it's such a good contemporary album. I just cannot explain it. Like, it's just, it captures the the idea of being like in your, a young person in this day and age, like, so perfectly, like a young adult, I guess, in such a good way. And I do urge you listen to this. I think it's good over Addison Rae's album, because I think I do listen to this a bit more than the others, and I think also it's I think the relatability of the lyrics and the songs really push it further for me. It's like in a different area, and I really enjoy it. But I think they're quite interchangeable in the sense that they're both very representative of this generation, and they're very unique in their own way, and they're both new artists who are specifically who managed to come out of their first project and already setting the tone and establishing their sound so early on, which is incredible. No, not many people can say that. I'll tell you that for free. So, yeah. Now, next album, which is I think number 5. Is number 4? No, it's number 5. This album is V by Doja Cat. Now, people, oh my god, the police. People love to shit on this album. I think people love to shit on Doja Cat right now because the album didn't perform as well as at all of the other albums that she's had post Say So. And I understand, like, she was pretty mainstream, and I think she can still be pretty mainstream. But I think this album specifically, I'm very mad about how like the visual situation went. Like the album was set up to be this specific sort of album visually, very 80s R&B, very Michael Jackson inspired in some sort of way. And again, there seems to be what's going on, honestly, like in this year as well. There's a lot of interesting explorations of the 80s, which I'm glad about. I think none of the sounds this year hit the mark in a way, because it's like still, it feels still pretty uninspired, because we've had the 80s for so long, like in terms of revival. But this is like an excellent example of how you do 80s but in a different way. And this is like full 80s R&B, and it's such a, I think this is the unironically the most artistically fulfilling project that Doja Cat has ever done, like even more than Scarlet, I would say. It's so well focused. It's 15 tracks, and it's all perfectly executed. And I think it also, what really is interesting about this album is that it pushes Doja Cat forward in terms of what she's doing. She really explored a lot of vocal techniques here that she's never done before. She still keeps her core sound intact. I think like the very creepy harmonies that she puts, not creepy, but I think the way she harmonizes on the track with herself is just unique. It's not very standard pop. It's quite Doja Cat coded. But I think here she just did something so different on her vocal performance, and is just, I think, something so new for her, and I really do want to celebrate it. I think it's such an incredible piece of work, and her collaboration with Jack Antonoff quite, I think it went quite successful in terms of how it is produced. It just sounds incredible. Jack Antonoff, I'm really realizing this year that he's such a elite producer for real. Like, I mean, we've been known, but I think this year I really grasped the idea that he really is so versatile and he can do so many different things, because he's gonna come back later for another album. Don't you worry about that. But this is incredible. Like, Cards, great track. Jill's Type, smash pop hit that should have been number 1, and it should have been released during the summer. I think what really brought the album down specifically to me was the marketing for this. It was very confusing. They started taking Jill's Type ages. I'm talking about like months, 3 months before the song actually came out, and then the visuals were all over the place at first, and then when the song actually came out, Jill's Type, and the video came out, it was like, oh, this is it. And the different variants of the album were pretty cool. I think there was the one of her with the Eiffel Tower behind her that was such a good, it should have been one of the main, it should have been the main cover art. And then there were other incredible photo shoots from different, they all screamed sort of like 80s in a way, 80s R&B. Even this photo of the Eiffel Tower sort of had an interesting 80s style to it. But then we went for the final cover, which was her on a yellow parachute. Also, this album screamed like for the longest time, she just promoted it with the color red specifically. It was very like red, and then she just dropped this that looks completely, out of place. It doesn't belong on the photo shoot or anywhere. So I think that really brought the album down. But overall, the album has so many great tracks. Take Me Dancing, Ah Man, Gorgeous, Come Back, Silly Fun, Lip Stain. Like there's so many great songs. Like if you want to like explore 80s R&B again, this is it. Like it doesn't get any better than this. I'm sorry. Like this is such a good album, and it's one of those albums that I do whenever I listen to it. I want to start from the first song and go through the entire track list because it's such a good album. Yeah. So too bad that not many people saw the potential in this. I think it's like not necessarily built to be like how to say, like pop moment specifically, which is fine. Um, but it's still a great project in my opinion. Incredible project. So yeah, give it a spin. Give it a spin. Now we're getting to the top. We're getting to the top. We're number 4, and now I am scared for my life because what the fuck, we're already so close to the top. Number 4 is, drumroll, another Jack Antonoff moment, and it's Man's Best Friend by Sabrina Carpenter. My girl. Let me talk about this album because this album is the gift that keeps on giving. I think, just incredible project, and I just cannot stop listening to this. Some of the songs on this. Again, Jack Antonoff, Kiss on the Mouth. Here again, it's another iteration of the 80s. I would say in some capacity. Here, there's more like of country and disco influence on this. It's still very like 80s influenced. But it is a continuation, I think, of the short and sweet flavor palette in a way. I really think I made it when I urge you to go and listen to my review of this as well because I also did make a review for this album, but I think if I remember correctly, I very well distinguished the two albums, like where they actually cut off, like change in a way, or where's the change in that, and there is one. Like it does seem like a natural progression from these two albums, but while Short and Sweet is like very California rock influenced, this is more again disco, country, ABBA. All over it. It's the same world in terms of lyrical content, but it's it's like its cousin basically, like not necessarily sister albums. Well, they are maybe sister albums, but more cousin albums in a way. A lot of interesting, similar, overlapping themes, but also so many new things. So many well honed songwriting chops here, like House Tour, incredible. My favorite songs are Tears. I think Tears has to be. It's like claiming to be my favorite song on the album. It's just the production about this and the progression, and just give me like a bass progression, and I'm gonna be a whore for that because like it's so good. And I think also the visuals for the song were incredible, but also just the vibe of the song. Like who thinks about opening opening the Manchild was the opener, but I think Tears should have been the opener. This is my hot take about this album. I think Tears should have been the opening track for this album because just those creepy violins, and then it turns into this like disco moment. It's just and it also is so clever. It's such a clever song. Like Tears Run Down My Thighs. I get wet at the thought of you being a responsible guy, like when you act like a normal respectable guy, that's what makes me really turned on. Like I don't care about you being like hot and cold or like cool or whatever, all that stuff. If you really show me appreciation and you're really kind to me, I'll tears run down my thighs. Girls, I really enjoy that. My man on Willpower, great fucking song, production 180, so good. Nobody's Son, such a good reggae influenced song, very cool. Really enjoyed Goodbye as well. That's a very ABBA coded song. Again, House Tour, really enjoyed it as well. When Did You Get Hot, very cool. So yeah, I think overall incredible track. I would lie if I said there's no skips. There are some skips on this album, I think, personally. Some songs that I could have done without. And I think, to be fair, if I really think about it, if we combine Short and Sweet and this, you could get an unskippable pop banger moment. There are some like skips on both albums, I think. But this also has so many great standouts that just are that make it worthy, I guess, to be its own thing. Um, so yeah, this is my number 4 of the year. Incredible. Sabrina, keep going. I cannot wait to see what you're gonna do next. Cool. And I had such a good evolution in terms of this, because like at first I was like not lukewarm. I still thought it was a good project, but the more I spent time with it, the more it grew on me so much, and I appreciated the little nuances. So yeah, very good stuff. Next album, number 3. We're getting to the top 3, guys. Top 3. Number 3 is drum roll, Ruby by Jenny. Now I really had a hard time choosing number 3 spot between this and Man's Best Friend, but I think Ruby takes it, and I think Ruby takes it because this is such a strong like project in terms of like soundscape and vibe. It's so unlike anything else and on this list. It's so well executed, so tasteful, so Jenny, so her. Like it just defines her so perfectly. There again, same thing as Man's Best Friend. So many great tracks. A few of them I do skip, but I think the highs on this album are so astronomically high and different and so uniquely Jenny that I can't help but be happy about this. Like, it just is the most. And also, again, I made not too long ago like a ranking of the 4 solo projects from Blackpink, and I put Ruby, I think, on number 2, if I believe, out of the 4. Um, and the more I think about it, the more I think this is probably number 1 actually, because it's just compared to the other albums, this is the most unique. And true to themselves in terms of album. Like it's just such a unique album. Everything, all the other projects, I think they have some form of like inspiration, or like a clear inspiration behind it. Like you can tell who they're trying to imitate, not imitate necessarily, but you know what I mean. Well, this one is just Ruby. It's just Jenny. Like it's as simple as that. It's her. It's her sound. It's her. You know it's her project, and it just comes off like that. It's just like so cool. And I think also even here the features on this album are so well curated, and they add to the song so so well. They complement the song so well. Again, so many different sounds here. She goes for hip hop, she goes for R&B, she goes for pop, and there's so many different iterations of her, but they're all simply connected by the fact that she is the it girl. It's just that simple. It is. So she has like Jenny, it's like very Brazilian funk influenced, and she has a song like Handlebars with Dua Lipa is very very pop. Then with the IE Way Up hip hop track that samples Jenny from Her Block, but Jennifer Lopez, so smart. And then she has Extra L with Dochi, which is such a great hip hop track as well. Love Hangover with Dominic Fike, very 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 cool. Very very cool, very indie, very very interesting. Then Right with Charles Gambino and Kali Uchis is mwah, fierce. And then Soul City. Soul City is just so good. And also this album has the streams on this album are incredible. Like she has 500,000,000 streams on one song alone. She has multiple songs that are above 100 million. Soul City there's not even a single or anything is has amassed 100 million. 100,000 streams. What? No, million. If I said million, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. It's just thousands. Half a 500 streams, and it's just incredible. Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah, 100 million. I was right. Why am I doubting myself? It is 100 million. Anyways, so good. Really, like I did stand out. I think album out of the 4 Blackpink solos, but also in general, such a good project, well executed. She took so many risks on this, and I think most of them paid off super well. Now, on number 2, we have Oh my god, this is so interesting because it's number two and then it's number one. But number one, I'm very, very certain about that number one. So, and I'm very certain about this number two, I guess. Then, number two is "MAYHEM" by Lady Gaga. Now, this album is so special to me because it's just, we've been begging for Gaga to go back to her sound, to really show them girls how it's done, and to really, go back to her roots and give us the fame monster again. And she did. She listened to us and she really did, and she really made it in a way that is so well crafted and so well honed that is just Gaga on steroids basically. And I'm so happy about this because like it's not necessarily like recycling of old sounds or anything, but it's just like a truthfully new project that has so much in it. And it's such a it has such a nostalgia factor in a way because it is so referential to the Fame Monster in a way, but also it's at the same time something completely new and very, very much influenced by I think the 80s, and again with the 80s, but more specifically I think Michael Jackson is a great influence on this, and it is just again as that Gaga on steroids. It's just so good, and again this album is just like vocally is just so good as well, but even lyrically and even in terms of subject matters. And I think the name of the album just makes so much sense because it is a chaotic album in terms of sounds and exploration of herself, like her emotional sides is just so good, but also it's packed with hits. I cannot describe, how good his album is. You have Disease that I've been the number one Disease stand since it came out. I always got the song. I always I was always fighting for the song, always. And people still don't get it, but it's not my problem because I surely did since the beginning, and I'm so glad Azealia Banks. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm so glad Azealia Banks validated my feelings because she's spot on. Like her vocal performance on the song specifically, so rock star. Vocally, like you could literally swap the very synthy production with like a heavy guitar, like electric guitar, and you would have a rock song. It is in essence a rock song. It's so interesting. And then you have Abracadabra, which is quintessential Gaga but updated. So cool, very disco influence, incredible. Then you have Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden is my song of the year. Like it's such a good. Oh my god, like nostalgic song. I did say myself that multiple times that it reminds me of Charcoal, Fight for This Love, and I still stand partially by that. But it's still in my books the song of the year. It's just so the best song produced in this year that I've ever heard. It's just like so good. I can't describe how good the song is. You have Perfect Celebrity, great callback to the Fame Monster. I think an explanation of how she feels about being famous and what it means to be a celebrity to her. The dark side, I guess, of being a celebrity as well. Vanish Into You. Go and watch AJ's reaction to this album, specifically this song. That's me, like me, literally bawling my eyes out. So good. Killa, so well produced. Zombie Boy clicked for me just in August, which is crazy. But when I was in Italy, just driving around, this song hit. It's just so many hits in this album. I'm just like amazed. How Bad You Want Me, like how, like, come on. We already went through the Taylor Swift references, I guess, on this song, like in terms of sound. So good. Shadow of a Man, Don't Call Tonight, like Die With a Smile, of course, being the biggest song probably ever with like 3 billion streams, whatever. Like, so good. I beg you to go and listen to MAYHEM because that album is it. And I'm curious to see what's gonna happen with the Grammys as well, if she's gonna like win or at least be nominated, I would say, for album of the year, because she really deserves a year. This is like her honing, like making the biggest comeback to music ever, because she was really focused on acting, which unfortunately did not pan out to be a successful endeavor, I think, in a way. But this album really repositioned her as a legend in music. I think, like, this is it. top 3 album, I think, of in Lady Gaga's discography. And now, number one is West End Girl by Lily Allen. Now, I literally my the previous episode is about West End Girl. 100% it is, and I beg you to go listen to that, because that's literally, I think in that episode I do say that that's my album of the year. And I know it's pretty early to say because it just came out like a week ago. But the more I listen to, I've been listening to it the full week non-stop, and I'm convinced that it is. Like, literally, this is the only album on the list that I can listen from front to back. I have to listen from front to back because of also the implications of the story that she's telling. Like, she's really weaving an incredible story emotionally and lyrically, so good that you have to like listen to all the songs. But also, I can pick one song and listen to it whenever I want. It's just such a good album. Well, perfectly executed. It is her melodrama. It is her lemonade. Whatever you guys are saying, you're correct. It is her magnum opus, in my opinion. Like, it's just outstanding. And I was lamenting in my previous episode that we didn't have a big, like, clear moment in pop music this year. Like, that's been undeniably like the best work we've heard in a long while, and this is it. This came out of nowhere. We were all so surprised by this album because no one was betting money on this. And the mere fact that she wrote and recorded this in 10 days is just insane to me. Like, this is such a powerful story and such a powerful, iteration of a breakup, but not in the most cliche way ever. This is about divorce and an exploration of modern relationships as well, because it's all about, proposals of a non-monogamous relationship, cheating, everything that you could think of that really, applies to modern relationships. It's all explored here in such an honest, at times, self-deprecating, at times a very vulnerable way that is just perfect album of the year. So yeah. But again, if you need to like listen to more in depth, if you want to listen more in depth, review of this album, you have to go and listen to my previous episode, because it's popping off apparently. Like, my stats on that episode specifically, I'm so happy to see that everyone is enjoying it. It is probably the episode I'm most proud of as of now, and it's so good. And I think you guys need to listen to the album. I think you guys have to. There's just no other way. So yeah, I'll leave you to that. Actually, go listen to the album, and I'll leave you also to my sponsor of the week. Bye. I am so happy to say that this episode is once again sponsored by Aspire Healthy Energy. I've been sponsored by this product specifically by this company before, and I'm so happy that they've sponsored this episode again. This is the better, healthier way to power your day, and I'm a big, as you know, if you guys know anything about me, I am one of the biggest energy drink consumers ever. Now, if you're like me, you've probably tried energy drinks that leave you very jittery, crashing, or loaded with way too much sugar. That's why I switched to Aspire. Because each can has just 80 milligrams of natural caffeine, about half of what most energy drinks pack nowadays, and it's sourced from premium green tea leaves and guarana. So instead of a shaky buzz or a very jittery type of lift, you get a smooth, steady lift instead that actually feels incredibly good. And get this: 0 sugar, 0 calories, 0 artificial additives. Plus, it comes in delicious different flavors. I've tried a lot of them. You have mango lemonade, you have raspberry acai, and then you have sweet cherry. So my favorite one is sweet cherry because I do love me a cherry. I got a taste for the cherry, girl. But light is always light. It's always refreshing. It's always never heavy. And it's never heavy at all. And I love that it's lightly carbonated, so it goes down nice and easy. Perfectly paired with like a salad or any sort of food that you may have a hand. Aspire isn't just about energy as well. It's loaded with vitamins of all kinds, including B and C, biotin, ginger, support focus, metabolism, and overall wellness. And because it's vegan, gluten-free, soy-free, keto-friendly, and even suitable for people with diabetes, it's one of the most inclusive energy drinks out there at the moment. So if you're ready to try it, go to aspiredrinks.com and use my promo code Overshare Pamphlet for an exclusive discount that has one day offer anywhere. And don't forget, shipping is free in the US. That's aspire.com. Energy that makes you feel as good as it tastes.